Hello, people! You hear that sound? Guess what? That's the sound of me coming back from dashing in the snow. Alright, so of course it looks like you see here before you that we're going to do a part 2 on two-step equations today. We're going to switch the order of some stuff around and make it a little more complicated for you, but it shouldn't be too hard. So if you know this song, of course, you can feel free to email me that later. And stay tuned. We'll play a little bit of it more here in just a few minutes. Alright, let's get down to work. Here we go. Alright, so you're going to be looking at some questions like these today. Okay, and so I figured I'd do a few of them with you to get you in the right direction. So let's start back out just for a second. Just want to start back out. And again, we're going to do some more word problems. So this was back from part 1. So remember, we got our add words, subtract words, multiply words, divide words. So hopefully you got those down from last time, because we're going to be referring back to those here. I'm not going to make you write them again for this particular thing, because we want to get on down to it here. Okay, so let's say we've got one like this. We've got negative W divided by 8 plus 5 equals 3. All right, we'll start there. Okay, that looks familiar. So we'll start out with some familiar ground here, and then we'll take it to some new territory. All right, again, I would encourage you to do the train track method. All right, let me get me some other colors here. So we're ready to go. Ho ho! All right, we want to cancel out that constant there. So of course, to cancel out a plus 5, I got to do minus 5. That means I got to do minus 5 over here on the right. These two 5s, of course, zero out, make a 0 pair, so you can scratch them out. 5 minus 5, 0. 3 minus 5, however, or 3 plus negative 5 would give you negative 2. Remember, take the sign of the bigger number. So when you subtract them, that would be negative 2. And then you can just trot this down here, and that'd be negative W over 8. Okay, so remember, there's a 1 in front of that W right there. If they don't write a number in front of it, you can always put a 1 in there. 1. All right. And then we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of that, so that would be negative 8 over 1, which means over here I got to multiply by negative 8 over 1. I guess this is called multiplying by the reciprocal, okay? Reciprocal. So multiply by the reciprocal. All right. So negative 1/8, the reciprocal of negative 1/8 would be negative 8 over 1. So I'll multiply by negative 8 over 1 over here. Multiply by negative 8 over 1 over here. Of course, a negative times a negative is a positive, and 8 divided by 8 just cancels out, because 8 divided by 8 is 1. So that leaves us with our little friend W, our little variable right there. And then over here is the real important part. What's negative 2 times negative 8? Okay, and so don't forget, folks, that a negative times a negative is a positive, and 2 times 8, of course, is 16. Hey, sweet 16. Getting ready to drive with your driver's license when you turn 16. If you want to know if that's right or not, you go put that number in right back up here. Negative 16 divided by 8 is negative 2. Negative 2 plus 5 would give you 3, and you can check your solution and you know you got it right. All right, so there's one that's in the normal fashion, and just kind of reviewing that multiply by the reciprocal thing. Don't let that get you too upset. Whatever the fraction is, just flip it over. Flip it over, just like you flip a pancake. Flip it over, multiply by the reciprocal on both sides, the left and the right. Whatever you do on the left, you got to do it on the right. Okay, let's move on. Let's do one of these. Okay, let's come down here, and if you look down here, we've got like number 9 down here is a little bit out of order. It's a little unusual. Number 10 is a little bit out of order. You know, all these down here in this little section kind of going to give you a little different look here. So I'm going to kind of do something similar to that. So let's say we've got 12 minus 2x equals 48. Let's do that. Okay. Now, that is not the normal order that we're used to seeing. Okay. So we're going to take, and we've talked about before, we're going to take that subtract sign. Remember, back a few weeks ago, we always said when you see a subtract sign, we're going to do a little additive inverse to that. Okay, so we're going to make that a plus negative right there. So a little additive inverse. And I still want to get rid of the constant first. Okay, so the constant we've got here is the 12. We want to get rid of that first. So I'm going to subtract 12 from there. which means I'm going to subtract 12 from there. Of course, these 12s right here cancel out, make a 0 pair. 48 minus 12 would give me 30 and 6. I'll just trot the little negative 2x down here. And remember, this is negative 2x, okay, because we did a little additive inverse to it. Negative 2x equals 36. And then, of course, we just divide by negative 2 like normal. The negative 2's cancel out because negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. So now we'd have x equals, now, what is 36 divided by negative 2? Now, that's a positive divided by a negative. What is a positive divided by a negative? Hopefully, you're going to say a positive divided by a negative is a negative. All right, so that's going to be negative. And what's 36 divided by 2? 18, I hope is what you're saying. So there you go. For that one, x would be negative 18. But the key to that is, if it's out of that order like that, go ahead and just do additive inverse there, and then still want to cancel out the constant, okay? Just like we canceled out the constant up here first, we want to cancel out the constant down here. All right, let's try another one of them out of order problems that might give you a fit. Let's say we've got this one. How about 60 equals negative 6d minus, let's see if I can, 12. Okay, now if you look at that, they've taken that whole thing. Usually we see this on the left side of the equation. We normally see that over there, and we normally see the 60 over there. So if you want to write it that way, if that makes you a happy camper, all right, or a happy elf, you can just take that whole thing right there, all right, and you can move it over here, and you can take that 60, and you can just kind of rotate them around, okay? So if that makes you happy, just rewrite it. Make it negative 6d minus 12 equals 60. Now, if it don't matter to you, you can just work it the way it is, and that's okay too. So you would just add 12 to both sides and then divide by negative 6, which is what I'm getting ready to do right down here. Okay? So to cancel out the negative 12, of course, I'm just going to add 12. So I'll add 12 to the left, add 12 to the right. The 12s right here cancel out. Of course, they make a 0 pair. Hopefully you can see that okay. And then, of course, 60 plus 12 would be 70 and 2. Drop my little negative 6d down here, so bring down the negative 6d. All right, so my step one was to add 12 to both. Hey.
I guess we're having one of those glitches now, so if my voice sounds funky, remember I'm not doing it on purpose. Alright, so now I'm going to divide by negative 6 on the left, divide by negative 6 on the right. The negative 6's cancel out. And again, that's a positive divided by a negative. And of course, what is a positive divided by a negative going to give you? A positive divided by a negative is going to give you a negative. Negative how much? 72 divided by 6 is negative 12. All right, again, if you want to know if that's right, you can just take that up and put it right there. Negative 6 times negative 12, that'd be 72. And 72 minus 12 is 60. Hey, and that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be 60. So you can always check your answer and see if they're right. You don't even have to ask me. Okay, let's go to a couple more here. I'll tell you what. We've made it to a problem about the halfway point here, about 8 minutes or so. Why don't we have a little riddle of the day? I'll go back to the one we had the other day. So what does Santa suffer from when he gets stuck in the chimney? Hey, that was claustrophobia. Claustrophobia. A bunch of you people got that right. I don't know how many people sent me, but at least 15 people or so sent me claustrophobia when he gets stuck in the chimney. There's a good one. All right. Now, today, let's see how smart you are. Today's riddle of the day is, if the Lion King recorded a Christmas album, what would he call it? All right. So if the Lion King recorded a Christmas album, what would he call it? So, you know, if you come up with a good answer, I might give it to you. I know there's a specific answer that I'm looking for, but maybe you might come up with something even better. So just let me know. What would the Lion King call his Christmas album if he put one out? Okay, there's today's riddle. All right, now, got time to do just a couple more of these little jokers right here. So let's see if we got one like this. How would we attack this little joker? Let's say we got 20 minus k divided by 10 equals 15. All right. So again, this is out of the normal order of things, how we would normally do it.
So the first thing I would suggest is right here where we see the subtract sign, we're going to make that a plus negative. All right, and then I'm going to get my little train tracks going here. My constant in this problem, of course, is right here, the 20. So I'm going to cancel out the 20 with a negative 20, and I'm going to come over here and cancel that out with a negative 20. So these 20s, of course, 20 minus 20 is 0. 13 minus 20 would give me negative 7. Okay, remember I'm taking the sign of the bigger number, and the 20 is bigger than 13, so it's going to be a negative 7. Now I'm just going to trot this down, so I've got negative k over 10. Now again, remember there's a number in front of that k. If it's never written there, there's always a 1 that's understood to be there. Now that is a negative 1/10. I've got to multiply by the reciprocal of that. So if I flip that over, that would be negative 10 over 1. And if I multiply by the reciprocal over here, I'm going to do the same thing over here, which would be negative 10 over 1. Of course, all this stuff right here cancels out. A negative times a negative is a positive. 10 divided by 10 is 1. So that just cancels out to a 1 right there. So it leaves me with just old k. K equals. Now, what's a negative times a negative? Well, I hope you know negative times a negative is a positive, and 7 times 10 would of course be 70. So in this particular problem, k would equal 70. If you want to go up there and check it out, that would be negative 70 divided by 10, which would be negative 7, and then 20 plus negative 7 would equal 13, and you know that that would be right. Ding! Time to do one more, people. Time to do one more. Just remember, multiply by those reciprocals. Okay, take that little fraction, flip it over. All right, the last one, number 5. Okay, let's say we got one like this. 15 equals 1 plus n divided by 6. Okay, you'll see one like that here at number 12. Okay, one like that right there. All right, and first thing, of course, I can do again, if you want to swing it around, you can take that and put it over there and put the 15 over there. I'm just going to leave it like it is this time and just show you can do it this way too. Okay, I'm going to leave it that way. So again, I see my constant right there. The constant or the plain old regular number is 1, so I'm going to subtract 1. And that means over here I got to subtract 1. 1 minus 1, of course, is 0, so get rid of that constant. 15 minus 1, of course, 14. And I'm going to trot this down here. That's n divided by 6. Again, there's a number in front of that, which of course is the 1. You got to multiply by the reciprocal of that, which would be 6 over 1. And over here you got to multiply by 6 over 1. These 6's cancel out. 6 divided by 6 is 1, so that cancels out. 6 times 14, that would be what n is equal to. 6 times 4, that's 4. I believe that's 84. So n equals 84. And I told you a story. I said only one more. I do want to do one of these that's got some words down here. Okay. So, you know, we got the increase, the decrease, the 5 more than twice, this is the number. So let's do this one right here, the one that says something, it's got something about the fourth of a number in it. So I'll do one similar to that. So you can have that. So 1/4 of a number decreased by 8 is -7. Alright, so how do you write 1/4 of a number? Well, 1/4 of a number would be like a fraction, right? So you can go ahead and put down 1/4 if you wanted to, like that. So you can put an n with that, 1/4 of, you know, if you want to put an n somewhere, 1/4 of a number. Decreased by 8. Now decrease is a subtract word, so that means -8 is the equals part, -7. So you want you to write your little equation like that. 1/4 of a number decreased by 8 is -7. Okay, and we're going to take that little sucker and take it home from right here. So the first thing we're going to do is draw little train tracks, and then of course I'm going to add 8 to both sides. Hey, that's a -8 and +8. Of course they make a 0 pair, they cancel out. -7 plus 8, that is just 1. And put the equals in the wrong spot. That would be 1/4 n. Just trotting that down there, right? 1/4 times n equals 1. Now again, I got to multiply by my reciprocal here to cancel that out. So if you take 1/4 and flip it over, that would be 4 over 1, and which means I've got to multiply by 4 over 1 over here. These 4's cancel out. Of course, 4 divided by 4 is 1. And that leaves me with just n. And 1 times 4 on that side leaves me with n is 4. Okay? So, that's how that works. Hey, right on time. Right at the 15-minute mark. Hey, if you know what this song is, feel free to send me the answer in an email. And if you know the riddle, let me know what album you think the Lion King might record while you call it. Alright, if you got questions, email me and let me know. Of course, again, this is part 2. There'll be a part 3 coming up next, where we're going to get a little bit harder. Okay, going to get a little more complicated. So, hope you're hanging in there with me. Hope you're well. Hope you're feeling good. Those of you that are always online or remote, I don't ever get to see you guys, but I hope you're doing okay. And until further notice, peace!